Alright, welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings here in Mendham. Week 813. I'm getting so close to being dead. It does worry me. I mean, you know, not because I don't mind. I don't mind the idea of being dead. It's the dying thing. I'm just not sure I want to do that part. Yeah, depends on how I do it, right? Dying in the bathtub, you know, comfortably relaxed, that would be pleasant. So I'll try to engineer that eventually. But anyway, back to work. Okay, trying to converse, you know, with human beings about what it is to be human. And frankly, I don't think you people have any clue at all. And it's just such a tedious argument to have to go over and over this kind of obvious bad circumstance of just being basically a biological robot, a little machine made by a process that's, you know, a few 100 million years old anyway, and of just making worms. And we're just a worm, you know, that has a few more features. And we can do this thinking thing and talk about being worms and, you know, how much fun it is to eat and fuck and and not much else. Apparently the conversation can't go any further than what's fun to look at, eat, and whatever, penetrate, you know, spiritually penetrate. Anyway, just too pathetic. Yeah, but whatever. So, it's just a little bit awkward, just because, you know, Amanda is a very good friend, and I do support the whole idea of creating more interest in the subject and more conversations. But I also know that a lot of these people called antinatalists are not really on my side. I mean, they're not really fighting for anything like the same thing. And we just happen, you know, in terms of fighting an enemy, we just happen to be slightly crossing the same path. And so for a tiny amount of time, we'll have the same enemy, but it'll be for a very small amount of time. And they really aren't allies. So, you know, you have to figure that eventually it's probably to your advantage to, you know, steal some of their bullets, or, you know, just, you know, even attach a time bomb to them, because these people will be your enemy eventually. But anyway, that being said, you know, I have to respond to some of this stuff, and this one just provoked my interest, and so I ended up hearing things that were just yuck, and just so you say, I got to respond to that. That's just yuck. So anyway. So this is Dr. Paul Ehrlich. I think he's a doctor. But anyway, interesting name in the sense there's this, you know, famous name doctor who cured diphtheria, I think, and syphilis. Well, he didn't cure syphilis. He found a treatment, chemotherapy. He invented chemotherapy, essentially. Which, you know, is kind of a dark, horrible subject in a lot of ways, because, you know, tortured a lot of animals, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, this isn't that subject. This is a different subject. So anyway, let's play the video, Gary. Okay, I'll play the video. Alright, time for another DoNotGod.com video. I didn't need to play that part, did I? No, I really didn't. Okay, we'll jump a little bit ahead. Well, there's only two choices, right? I mean, increasing or decreasing. And, you know, increasing is unsustainably insane. All right, and the decreasing, once you have established a population that knows how to decrease population, why would you teach them to go the other way? I mean, there's no incentive to really say, oh, you have to figure out how not to you know, to have to want to have kids or need to have kids again. I mean, that would be kind of ridiculous. So, I mean, the point is yes, the graceful exit is the right answer. And, you know, once you have created a civilization that can do that without being horribly, horribly deprived of some necessary thing, then you don't have a problem. Just make people who don't need to have kids, and the problem is solved. Frankly, no more horror.
what your familiarity with the term antinatalism is or isn't.
All right, so that's a question, so we'll get to the answer, which is pretty bad, frankly. There should be an answer in here. We take it over like a virus or something. You have to just. So I was just explaining a little bit of the evolution problem of, this whole idea of a minority position in fighting. So you can make correlations to evolution and how it works, and that you don't change big populations from inside the big population. You change it by creating an alternative, and that force becomes a gang, and that gang overwhelms the old gang. So it's sort of a brutal kind of contest. So that's why you need allies, because yes, it is a war, and you got to pick a side. So yeah, if I pick a side, I have to pick liberalism, but like I said, it's so toxic right now. It's so stupid in what it's doing and what it's advocating and defending that, it's just so hard to do. I mean, it's just so bad as an alternative. It's so irrational and unreasonable. Because you're going to rescue something. There's a bunch of Martians in prison and we need to go save them. Right, so there is nothing. You can't make any good rational reasoning. You can't apply any rational reasoning and say the universe is better off with biological robots killing each other. No, it isn't. There's no reasoning that makes it at all a cure for any deprivated or negative condition. Mars is not in a negative condition because it doesn't have little Martians on it, sitting on their front porch drinking lemonade. And whatever the whole game is, if you want to tell us was rewarding, I mean, this is so, rewarding. I think we're probably talking about this whole raising kids thing, and as I pointed out, anybody who's really intelligent is not going to have fun raising a kid, because the weight of the responsibility, the weight that every fucking thing you do is going to decide whether this kid's an alcoholic or not, or whether he's going to have a horrible life. I mean, it's who rational steps into that kind of nightmare? It's not like a dog or a cat. Even dogs and cats, you're not quite sure if you can train the damn thing, if the damn thing will like you, or any of this kind of crap. But I mean, at least it's a lot more manageable, because you can have a lot more assurance about what to do and what not to do in terms of getting action out of the animal that's consistent with you feeling good about its circumstance and it not being neurotic or crazy. I mean, enjoying your company as much as you enjoy its company. It's a lot easier. But kids, get real. What are you going to do? He doesn't want to eat his vegetables. What are you going to do? He doesn't want to play the violin. What are you going to do? He doesn't want to play the piano. He doesn't want to do anything. He wants to just sit around and masturbate. What the fuck are you going to do? What's your big plan? You're not going to have a plan. Assholes. You're against, frankly, okay? No more capitalists, no more aristos, no more people who think the rest of the world is their servant, no more nihilists who think everybody else is an ant. Yeah, so I was just going through the list of all the things we get rid of incidentally, okay? We do our rescue mission, we save the poor, aggrieved, tortured people, and what's the side benefit? Yeah, we get rid of all the other shitheads, okay? No more shitheads on Earth. So we save the victims and we get rid of the shitheads. Well, that's a win-win, frankly. I like it. I'll vote for it. So, till then. I guess we took a break. So let's understand that there's lots of things that are, you could argue, unsustainable, or there's no plan. Right, so I go through some of that. I talk about a little bit about nanotechnology, and then the technology is going to take over for people. People have no utility. These are real problems. Whether you have population growth or not, these are real problems. So, they haven't engineered any social solutions to all these impending disasters. Again, where technology is just going to be so onerous in terms of the danger it presents. It's going to be literally possible for somebody to press a button on their computer and kill somebody. It's going to be possible in the future. And it's going to be really easy to fuck up things as a terrorist. The infrastructure is going to become more and more vulnerable, not more and more secure. and equal and all this. I mean, it's a good reason to understand that you got to stop it now. It's a good time to gracefully exit, because you're not going to be heading for fun. You're going to be heading for draconian, thought police almost. It's going to have to get that bad, because you're really not going to be able to have conflict on Earth anymore. Human beings aren't going to be allowed to disagree anymore, because they're going to be able to poison each other, and in very difficult to detect ways, they're going to be able to hurt each other, and that's not going to be pleasant. Crap, and give them real lives and blah blah blah. Let's have some segment of the population that keeps making way too many babies, and the rest of the population will be the smart people who say, Yeah, so they're advocating for a kind of segregation already. I mean, they're basically endorsing some notion that it's okay that some people be slaves to baby production, while we have the other people who have elevated their condition to such a state where they have far more interesting things to do. Why would I make somebody a slave to being a nursemaid, so to speak? Why would I say, well, that's a actualized human being? They wipe baby butt all day. That's not being well actualized. Yeah, so you can't even say the word, but I shouldn't find, Getting old sucks. Just sort of pointing that out, that he's a little doddery. But whatever, it happens to us, the best of us. It will happen. It's already, like I said, I'm sliding right into it. And it's really unpleasant. Really, really unpleasant. I mean, I'm just surprised that old people are especially when they're so much in such worse shape. I mean, there's so many people my age who are an absolute physical wreck. And the fact that they can't even acknowledge that and say, gee, this really sucks. I really hate that my life is limited to pushing myself around in my scooter. I would just, yuck. Yeah. Creepy.
I understand that according to Amanda and my definition of antinatalism, you are not an antinatalist.
Yes, that's true. So it's, no real point in, saying you're a permanent ally, because, we only agree on one tiny little part of the war. The rest of the war ain't going to be fought with him on the right side. He's going to be pointing his gun at you, okay, not with you. It's not going to be shooting your enemies. He's going to be shooting your friends. All right. So he didn't get them to not exist. That is, do they have the right to what? Yeah, so she did leave that. She's just... so Amanda asked a question like, well, look, if you can project that civilization really isn't going to do any of this stuff, I mean, it's not going to provide all of these equal rights and all of this crap, it really ain't going to happen, we're not going to live in Blissphere, then why don't you just concede that it's just you're going to torture a segment of population, and why should they have to pay that price? And, his answer was, well, yeah, no, they shouldn't. So he thinks this won't happen. He thinks it won't be dystopia. The future looks bright to him somehow. That there's a real prospect of it all working out just fine and it all being happily ever after. And there's almost no prospect of it outside of the population bomb. There was never a thing called a civilization, right? I mean, it was all a draft. It was all a unfinished, incomplete, completely unsatisfactory. It wasn't even close to... It's like the original computers. And, they weren't really close to being a computer, right? I mean, they were just some noisy, hot thing that, could count to 4. So come on. And that's all we've done with civilization. We've barely gotten the first brick of a civilization. We put down one brick and said, there, we have a civilization. We're going to call it civilization. It's like calling a sponge a well-evolved organism. Yeah, I mean, relative to a mud, it's pretty well-evolved, but, it really isn't. It isn't a great portrait of the magnificence of construction. It isn't it's not an Eiffel Tower. It's a frickin' lump of poo. Between somebody who's educated takes on the responsibility, knows they're developing a human being, knows they have to. Yeah, how is this going to be fun? How does an intelligent person step into that fucking morass? It's impossible for somebody intelligent to deliberately step into, I want to be a parent. Nobody intelligent makes that decision. Nobody applying intelligence makes that decision. Because it basically is, it's torture. It's all that's going to be. You're going to get tortured or it's going to get tortured. But something's going to get fucking tortured. Because the truth just doesn't permit this happily ever after crap. It doesn't happen on this planet. Some other bellied moron. Yeah, so I was talking about the starred belly sneech kind of idea, the Seussian idea that we should forget about this conflicts, but no, there's no point in trying to pretend it's okay to be a star belly sneech or a no belly sneech. We're always going to notice the difference, so why pretend you can just make those things go away? You cannot make them go away. It is our nature to find a difference. So even if the difference got even smaller and the little star was tiny, okay, not a big star, but just had a little tiny star, little tiny star, you know, underneath your hair, and you couldn't even see it, people would still go looking for it. So fuck this bullshit that you know, there's any, that diversity does us any good at all, that any of this crap is any good. We don't need to sit there and defend everything that exists and say everything that exists must still exist. Mosquitoes have to still exist. No, if somebody comes up with a way of getting rid of mosquitoes, okay, hey, yeah, let's go with it. Let's go with that idea. Because we'll probably all win more than we're going to lose. We're going to win a lot more than we're going to lose. Okay, the little tiny inconveniences created, and the dragonflies will have to find something else to eat and all that kind of crap. Well, who the fuck cares? No problem. We'll deal with that environmental catastrophe. I mean, it's not going to be an environmental catastrophe. And it's not going to be a civilization catastrophe if some of these morons on this planet don't exist anymore. Some of these cultures don't appropriately become an artifact, you know, and all we have is a picture of it, or, you know, one of their wooden sticks or something. Yeah, great. I hope we can reduce them to wooden sticks.
Oh. Ended up deciding yes, and I think since that child has now had a fairly...
So this was telling some wacky story about his uncle and his aunt back in World War II deciding to have children, and they decided to have a child, and it all turned out just fine. He lived to be kind of oldish like me, and, well, he hasn't died yet, so, I mean, you know, I guess not the whole story's been told yet, so I guess it's not completely happily ever after. We have to wait till after he's dead, and then it's happily ever after, because then you go to heaven, right? I mean, what the fuck? I mean, it was just so bad. I mean, this cruddy little analogy to mush, this little tribute to mushy, again, it's like having some conversation where some old codger talks about the good old days where, well, we had to scrape the skin off of a carrot with a rock. You know, haha, those were the good old days. Everybody learned good rock scraping skills. It was important to know how to scrape the skin off of a carrot, you know. Because there was all that little dirt in it and stuff. Fuck. Reagan wins, and it was just like, oh, fuck. You know, it's over. Oh yeah, that was the Reagan thing. So he brought up Reagan, and so I always, you know, I'm always triggered by it because it was this turning point in my life. Everything was going to hell. Reagan, oh, it's just, you know, just a nightmare. That, oh fuck, decency is dead. No one's got a rational brain in their head anymore. This stupid shiny city on a hill bullshit is they're buying this crap that if we all believe in greed, we're going to have the shiny city on a hill where there won't be any smelly dirty people and everybody will be living in Oz and everything will be just fine. Nobody will have to clean the toilets. It'll all self-cleaning, you know, it'll all be great. Fuck. You know, all this crap made for 6-year-olds. It's all blended together. And oh yeah, so I was talking about the failure of the internet and how, you know, the super highway is just a parking lot, and you know, it's just noise now. And we were really heading somewhere. You know, when cable TV first started, I mean, there was all kinds of, you know, interesting, valuable content you could access easily. And somehow, in the last 40 years, we have totally fucked up that innovation and turned it into just a noisy advertising network. And this is the part where, you know, Google is evil and you people are just assholes for not recognizing it and not doing anything about it. Not even raising your hand and saying, yes, me too, I hate Google. Let's get rid of that pile of shit, Alphabet. We don't need Alphabet running the world. I'm a philosopher. No, yeah, I was reacting to a little bit of pretentiousness. But whatever. So that's the end, I believe. Look at that. Yeah, what's the end? That's the beginning again. So, alright, so another video in the can. I think it's pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty aggressive. I get the bang, 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 my little points out. So, you know, not too bad. So, you just have to keep banging away, keep trying to find some way to knock this thing down. Where the hell did the wind sound come from? There's some other, oh, okay, the city street is annoying me. Anyway, so till the next time and such, this has been a donotgod.com video presentation. Links are below to the real video and all that kind of crap, if you need to hear that shit. And yeah, that's it. Till the next time, and such, so forth and whatnot.